nerds, we hope you don't reach level 100 because we're going to be talking about episode 46 of Between Nerds. I'm here with my co-host Drew.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 46 of Between Nerds. If you didn't get that, we are discussing Mob Psycho 100. We are recording on a Tuesday so that we can get this episode on a Wednesday, and then we'll be officially caught up with our weekly episodes. And we should be recording this Saturday, episode 47 on season 2 of Hunter x Hunter, and that should come out at like the regularly scheduled time, Sunday evening, Monday morning. And because these episodes are back to back, don't expect like a nerd down or anything too crazy at the end of this episode, since we just gave you like a 4-hour episode 3 days ago.
Yeah, and we can't really get too much done in like 3 days or 2 days in between recordings, so. But
the next one, we will probably be discussing Loki during the nerd down, since like tomorrow from recording this, Loki comes out. And so far we've had 0 usage.
We have 1 usage.
Oh,
I believe so.
Who was it?
I think it's Viv, but I don't know.
Yeah.
She switches her account all the time.
Okay, so
yeah, I think so.
We just want to remind everybody to use the monthly hashtag LGBTnerds, to automatically be entered into our June giveaway, and you can win something dope. We're going to be sending out Curbs is winning from the May giveaway sometime this week. And then also don't forget that by using hashtag LGBT nerds in an original tweet or Instagram post, for every like and retweet, we will be donating to the Borderland Rainbow Center. And they have set up a safe center for LGBTI plus individuals.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And I think we can start off with that.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Hell yeah.
So we are discussing the second big named manga publication by the author One, who's also the original author of the web comic for One Punch Man.
Do you think that had to do anything with the title of One Punch Man?
One Punch Man Mob Psycho 100?
No, like One Punch Man, like the creator of
Oh!
Because his name's One. He goes by One, right?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm so stupid. Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
And he's won, like, awards and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And the thing about something like One Punch Man, which we haven't even discussed yet as part of this podcast, is that when it first came out, it was like such a big thing like that year. Mm-hmm. And the way the publication happened for One Punch Man is he was releasing the episodes for free on the internet, but they were like super, super, super low quality, like a middle schooler level, like drawing the shit and putting it online, right?
Yeah, and we've seen his animation in Mob Psycho, so it's a weird animation.
Yeah.
The character designs are weird.
It's really just ugly. It's just, and it's the same, like, Mob Psycho 100 reminded me, like, this is probably my 3rd time watching season 1, and it reminded me instantly of One Punch Man, just like a more like refined One Punch Man. Like if the story of One Punch Man actually had like structure and like an actual plot, it would be Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah, some motivation maybe. Yeah, because Mob Psycho does have better writing, and you told me this the past 2 weeks. You told me that you like the writing style better on Mob Psycho than One Punch Man.
Yeah, I think it's really good, and Mob Psycho 100 is basically just about like psychics and espers, but you can tell right away it's the same like writing style as One Punch Man, because it's just like it's a bunch of super crazy extra powers and characters and like super scary and normally destructive situations, but our MC, our main character in both of these stories, is so overpowered that, like, as an audience member, you know it doesn't matter, but that's the fun of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because not just is he overpowered, and it doesn't take anything away, because he is also going through, like, this growing period through, like first season.
Right, yeah. It is a coming of age story. Like, we're following a middle schooler as opposed to a grown adult, and it's about him learning to, like, stop being socially awkward, to, like, hang out with girls, to, like, his motivations are normal middle school boy motivations, and it's not like, oh, I'm this all-powerful fucking Esper and I can blow anything up. But what I did want to bring up before I forget about it is that it is a Studio Bones production. So this is like these Studio Bones. This is My Hero Academia Studio Bones. This is
like Bones.
This is Space Dandy Studio Bones. This is like they're like a really big deal. This is Soul Eater. This is and you can tell like this, like, Studio Bones will not overwhelm themselves on projects, and they will really go all in when they're producing something.
Yeah, the like super attack scenes, they're super crazy animated. I kind of hope that the Way of the Husband was gonna be animated like that during fights, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I wish that too. And it's like, it's really bright colors, so like, it's psychic powers, but the way they show the psychic powers a lot of times are like really weird geometrical shapes and a lot of like purples and pinks and like light blues and
spirals and a lot of geometry and stuff.
It feels like a head warping kind of experience, sort of. And the thing about like Mob Psycho 100 is it's not as popular as you would expect. Like, I think Mob Psycho 100, the official dub, had been picked up by Crunchyroll, but a lot of the things that really pick up in the US are things that have to be like specifically picked up by like Toonami. Which is kind of annoying, and we've talked about that before, because it makes no sense that something like, at least in the States, like Dead Man Wonderland can get so much more like enthusiasm behind it just because it's on Adult Swim than something like Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah, and again, we've noticed that a lot of these people are like certain animes, not all animes, certain animes, is that they just have like this separation anxiety from it because they just saw it so long ago and it's nostalgic to them or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of nostalgia and Adult Swim, what's it called? Cowboy Bebop. They just released like the first promotional video about the live action movie that's going to be coming out.
Oh, cool! Is that going to be that one Japanese production, right?
Yeah. And the
thank God it's not an American production.
I think it's gonna be gonna have some original music to it too, because I remember the producer of the music score for the anime was featured heavily in it.
Okay,
so that's exciting. Anyways, back to Mob Psycho 100. What's annoying for me about season 1, even though it gets so good, like once you're really in it, is the first 2 episodes aren't even really like about our MC, or like they're really like really average. Like it's like a really weird slice of life.
And I don't even know how to name it, but I've seen this pattern in many animes that we've watched for this podcast. But it almost seems like some animes almost have a trope where the first few episodes is just like world introduction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's world building as opposed to like actually like
it's
flushing
just
it
MC,
out.
and then we'll explain it along the way. Now they kind of want to explain to you some things first, and then we'll get on with the fucking story.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even like from our discussion 4 days ago, that's how even Made in Abyss feels sometimes. Mm-hmm. And Jujutsu Kaisen's like that. Mm. Yeah. Space Dandy too, if you think about it.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is that, they are kind of boring. And what kept my interest in these first 2 episodes, first 4 episodes, it's that our MC, it's almost in the spectrum.
Yeah, I was going to say it, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I wish it'd be a lot more like
transparent about it.
Yeah, I wish it was more transparent, or like it'd be more progressive writing if it was upfront about it, because it's like, so we gave Made in Abyss like huge props for being like kind of like a feminist masterpiece almost, you know what I mean? And the thing about Mob Psycho 100 is that if you're going to have a character like this, why not champion them a little bit? Because, like, sure, they're doing it to a certain extent because it's like, look at everything he's trying to do and everything he can accomplish, even with his drawbacks. Mm-hmm. But it's never, like, said outright, and it's almost like rude because there's certain characters that will point out how awkward he is or how
not socially fitting.
He can't like read people correctly. He doesn't know how to carry himself in a public setting. Like he's on the spectrum.
And we're obviously, I mean, throughout the whole season, we're seeing a person that not only does he understand that he is a little bit detached from regular social probes and stuff like that, that he wants to, he's almost frustrated because of it, and also that he's strapped with his emotions, like you were saying. Like, not only does he know how to read what the situation is, like doesn't really know how to show his emotions about some things.
That's also the trope of his power, though.
Exactly.
Is that like
the spectrum is his power system almost?
Yeah. The only reason, like, he's this all powerful, like, universe bending level psychic, an Esper, but the only thing that keeps his powers in check really is like him being cut off from his own emotions, because it's called Mob Psycho 100, because when a certain emotion or a certain feeling hits 100% and he can no longer contain it, that's when you get like the reg blackout murder reg. That's when you get this all powerful fucking person, but he's unconscious in his head while it's happening.
Correct. Yeah, and it's almost weird because he is experiencing that emotion, but he's blacked out. He doesn't remember. Yeah,
which sucks because it's like, have you ever gotten so drunk you did something like unbelievably stupid and you don't remember it at all?
Yeah.
It's like that. And he has that same reaction when he comes out of it. He's just like, oh man, I did what? I hurt who? God damn it. Like, he's so upset with himself.
And then he shuns in again.
Yeah.
And we go back to zero. And then as the story progresses, it's just him trying to fill stuff, but he can't. Yeah. Which builds up that 100.
And you do see him trying, though, because, like, what we're talking about the first few episodes not being all that entertaining is, like, episode 1 isn't even about him, like, at all. He's not introduced until, like, 20 minutes in. Mm-hmm. It's, he has a, air quotes, master named Arataki Reagan, and he runs a ghost busting shop. What would you describe it?
Yeah, it's like a consultations of spirits and such. That's what that's what the sign says, at least.
Yeah, he's like a self-described like exorcist.
Yeah,
but he's a scam artist. Like he has no powers like Mob does. He can't see spirits. He reads like random things on the internet, and that's like his exorcism is he'll like pour table salt over a ghost or something.
Correct.
Which does literally nothing, because even in episode 1, the ghost that's introduced is like, dude, you need to have this salt blessed. Like, that does nothing to me.
This is just regular salt. And that's when we get introduced to our MC, which is Mob.
Right.
And he calls him, he's like, yo, Mob, we need you out here. Then, like, throughout the next few episodes, like episode 2 and episode 3, we find that the dynamic is the master. He's trying to actually help people if it's the real thing.
Right.
Because a lot of people will come and say, oh, I have a ghost, but it's just fucking, a rat in the house or something like that.
Or, like, the joke is half the time it's just, like, sore shoulders or stress or something. Mm-hmm. So, like, he's, like, a really good masseuse, though. And the narrator will say, like, this is Reagan's superpower. It's called the mega back rub.
Yeah, he's just, like, massaging him and using it as a spiritual massage or something.
He'll do, like, oils, incense, the whole thing, and that's him exorcising a spirit off of somebody.
And then since Mob is his assistant, he's like, charge the man. And he's like, okay, one massage, $40. He's like, stupid, don't say it like that.
Don't say it out loud. It's not really a massage. He's not supposed to know. But, when Mob Psycho gets like really cool for me is like the last part of episode 2, because like you're saying, Reagan, when it's like a real monster, he'll call Mob up and they'll go on the assignment to go exorcise whatever is happening. And in episode 2, there's like a cursed mountain where people are dying all the time in this tunnel, like literally dying. So Reagan, like, even though he's a pussy and even though he's unpowered, like, he gets his powerful assistant Mob to show up with him, and Mob's just like exorcising like dozens and dozens of little demons and spirits that are around
left and right with no effort, like just like blah blah blah,
just like barely holding his hands out. He's like, oh my god, there's so many spirits around.
Yeah. And if you've seen One Punch Man, it's like the same attitude almost. Like, he's just like, huh. Okay.
And Saitama's annoying in One Punch Man because he wants to be cool, kind of, and like he's just a normal dude, like he's not on the spectrum, and that's what makes you want to hate him. But that's also the point of One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Is like when Saitama's on screen, you're almost disappointed.
Yeah.
Because you're like, fuck, the cool character that I liked, can't do it.
Yeah.
But Mob, same thing, because what we start to learn about these spirits is that they were people, you know what I mean? Because the boss in this tunnel is the boss of like a biker crew that all died from the actual evil spirit that lives on this mountaintop. Mm-hmm. And again, like the Reagan, who's unpowered, is just walking up to this spirit that he can't even see, and it's up to Mob to like passively put a force field of energy around him. Mm-hmm. and it's just Reagan being like, I felt a draft in this tunnel, that's weird, Mob, be careful, there's spirits around here.
Yeah, it's the worst at the beginning, but we know what his intentions come, like in the closing episodes.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know what his intentions are, because when I'm looking at this, the first 4 or 5 episodes, I'm looking at somebody being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't want to say, because like what we just said about Mob is like, not only is he a child, like he's literally like 12 years old, is that like he's not capable of taking care of himself, really. So like it's almost mean that like this adult
is making money and profiting in his business from it.
Yeah. And that becomes like a really, really big part of like season 2 of Mob Psycho 100, if I'm remembering correctly, which we will be watching in 2 weeks?
Probably, yeah.
3 weeks. Because
3 weeks.
I'm trying to remember. So if the next episode is Hunter x Hunter, then we're having John back on the 19th. The anime we're watching the week for the episode that comes out, that's being recorded the 26th, is season 2 of Mob Psycho 100.
Okay.
So we'll get into it more then. But like for now, it's totally this adult taking advantage of this little boy.
Yeah.
Because when even Reagan asks Mob, like, hey, like, what are your goals? Like, what do you really want to do? He doesn't have an answer. Mm-hmm. And that's where like episode 3 starts, and it's literally called, simply put, I just want to be popular. Mm-hmm. Which is all he wants. He has this one girl in mind that he like air quotes fell in love with when he was in elementary school, and he just wants to join like the weightlifting club and like get hot so this girl will notice him. Yeah,
but like this, I wanna like the story behind like the girl that he loves. Like, it's so like this kid is trying to like impress this girl with her kinetic powers, and he's trying to show, and she's the only person that he shows like besides his brother.
Yeah,
right. And she likes it for a while because he can make like frogs flow, and like he can bend steel and make it all wiggly, and like they have a little montage that she gets bored of it, and she actually starts liking a guy in the track team that was able to be more athletic than Mob, because Mob's just like a little fucking, like a little scrawny dude.
And that's what's fucking terrible about it, because like every other character in this anime, except for this one girl, will tell Mob all the time, like, dude, you are the most powerful person ever. You can accomplish anything with this level of psychic power. Like, you can do anything. And it's always just like, no, but I want to do the athletic club because I want to get the girl that's into athletes.
And then right before he gets into that club, it's funny because we have the telepathy club.
Yeah.
That lost a club member at the beginning of the season, and now they're getting harassed by the student council president that their club is finished.
That's what reminds me of like the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, because it's a bullshit club. Like, none of these people are powered, none of them know any telepaths. They're just like some fucking nerds just eating snacks and just on their phones after school
and looking at weird shit on the internet.
Yeah, just looking at weird shit on the internet and playing with their switches.
Yeah.
And so like the class president knows this, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna give your club room to this athletic club because they'll actually make use out of it, and they're an actual club.
But right before that, the telepathy club finds Mob, and Mob feels like almost like, oh my god, you guys want me to be in your club? But then when we get to that scene, they're already at the room, back at the club room, and then we see the student council president come in with the athletic club. And then that's where he gets it. That's where he jumps into like the one memory that his girl went with an athletic little kid back then. He's like, no, I'm not going to join the telepathic club. And he just turns his back to them and he's like, I want to join the athletic club.
I fucked up. I'm sorry. They're called the Body Improvement Club.
Oh, the Body Improvement
That's
Club.
my bad. That's my bad. Yeah. So they're just like, they're not even athletes. They're just fucking like
bodybuilders.
Yeah. And so they give the telepathy club is like, give us a day. We're going to convince Mob to become part of our club, and then we'll have enough people to stay a real club, and you don't have to take away a room.
Anyways, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work, but
it was the Body Improvement Club. They're such nice guys.
They're like the nicest people in this whole fucking thing.
Yeah,
like,
they're just trying to make you feel happy through like athletic activity. You know what I'm saying?
Because by the end of the episode, they let him in because they're excited about it. They're like, dude, he has no body. Like
he has a lot of improvement to get.
Yeah, they're like, fuck yeah, Mom, you can do it.
Exactly. So they end up telling the telepathy club, they're like, dude, it's okay. You guys can use the room. We just need it for storage for our shit.
Yeah.
But so they end up just being in the same room with weights and everything around them.
What happens in like the middle of like episode 2 though, which it's funny that it doesn't matter, but it's kind of cool that you're seeing like how Reagan and Mob like interact. Is Reagan gets a job to exercise a high school. So Reagan's dumbass idea is both him and Mob are going to dress up as girls, put like the schoolgirls, the skirt on, do their hair, and like try to change his voice and how he's speaking, the whole thing. And that's how they're going to break into this school, and that's how they're going to exorcise the demon or whatever.
It's fucking hilarious, because you think as, you know, like as an anime watcher, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be one of those anime moments and they're going to be able to break in to the school.
Yeah.
But no.
It's a really good fake.
Reagan automatically gets pointed out. It's like, yo, what the hell are you doing? It's like, where are you going? As they're both walking into the school grounds.
The security stops.
Yeah, the security stops. And it's like, what are you doing, fucking weirdo? It's like, no, I'm just...
They're looking at him like he's some kind of weird-ass predator. And they're just like, no, dude, you're not fucking coming in here. But then they look at Mob.
But Mob is having this, like, inner dialogue of, like, oh my god, I'm so glad people were able to tell that this was just a scam.
Because Mob felt guilty.
I don't want to trick anybody into anything. I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm glad they didn't believe me that I'm a girl. And then as that inner dialogue happens, a split second after what you were going to say, they look at Mob is like, oh, get away from this weirdo. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, little girl. Get in the school. So then you just see Reagan like pointing like, go in the school. And so Mob is able to find the girls. But again, like Mob's like a really shy dude and he's not comfortable around women. And it's these two girls that like ask them to exercise at school. But like the spirit is like an overpowered nerd that was at the school. So he's doing like really nerdy things like moving bras in the locker room and like looking up skirts and like just like Revenge of the Nerds type shit. And it's funny / hilarious because Mob meets them finds the spirit in the girls' basketball court.
Yeah.
And like the spirit's just like fucking with these girls, and that's where it's like the Demon Slayer effect, where like right before Mob kills any spirit, they just have to like dump their whole like life story.
yeah, because he looks mean. He looks very well animated how he is. But then again, Mob Psycho, dressed as a little girl, he's just fucking him up, you know, making him do flips.
Just ripping his arm off with like the flick of a wrist.
And then he destroys him by just, you know, doing his mob regular shit. And he, like you said, it ends like in this, oh, you're also playing that nerdy dude that I played in high school to get close to girls or whatever. And then Mob is just like, what? Why would you do that? Like, that's weird. I'm weird kind of thing.
Yeah, Mob is so like
distraught that he even doubts himself. Like, is that what I'm doing?
That's what I mean. It's because he's so like slow's the wrong word, but like he can't read intention properly to the point that like he really starts doubting himself, even though he knows his motivations are right. Like Mob's not a weird dude. He just wants his one fucking girl from his elementary school, and that's like the end of that. It's just the girls like hug him out, but that's like our introduction to like how Reagan and Mob are supposed to be together.
I really like how that spirit dies. I can't remember what he was called, the sniffing spirit or something like that, like the whiffing spirit, like almost telling you that he smells like this girl's around, the fucking school.
Yeah.
And
it's like almost making fun of like dudes with like weird fetishes. It's like fuck, I can't even think of it. It's like making fun of somebody with a foot fetish or something.
But then the way he like actually disintegrates,
the scent ghoul.
The scent ghoul. Yeah, there you go. And he dies, but the animation on top of the frame, it looks like they just had like some oil paints on the side, and they
squiggled him out.
And then just squiggled him out of existence, which looked really good. I think it looks really cool.
And again, like, that's how, like, powerful Mob is. Like, he's literally, like, wiping somebody from reality. And...
The handle.
Yeah. When season 1 of Mob Psycho 100, like, really gets good for me is, like, the end of episode 3.
Which is?
So, it's called An Invitation to a Meeting. Simply put, I just want to be popular. But, well, I said that was 2, but I meant 3. So, episode 2 is the Telepathy Club appears. Episode 3, simply put, I just want to be popular. But what happens at the end of episode 3 is we're introduced to a cult known as LOL. So, again, Mob, he's trying to do his body improvement club thing, but he's just suckered into situations because he can't say no, and he's not, like, really strong, like, emotionally.
Not even that he couldn't say no. This dude is like, okay, he's still dwelling in his head like, okay, well, what can I do to become more popular, to become more social, like I said thing. He's just walking down and he sees this fucking lady with this smiling mask, and the lady looking at him, since he can't really show emotion, is like, hey dude, is like, what's got that frown on your face?
Come join my cool club.
But she's like, the dialogue piece is like, oh, I bet it's your grades. And then he's like, no, I actually have pretty good grades. And then he's like, and he's ahead, he's like, okay, I'm gonna get out of here. And then she's like, oh, then it must be,
it's like your family.
Yeah, your family problems. He's like, no, actually, I don't have any problems with my family. It's like, I like my brother. I love my parents. He's like, then it should be love. And then she's like, how does she know? Because he's thinking about that girl that he's infatuated with.
And that's also the joke about how, like, like fake illusionists would, like, do it anyways, right? They're just going to say, like, super general statements. And you're just going to think, like, oh, how did they know? How did they know? And so yeah, it's a literal cult. Like it's a high level cult with like these weird masks that everyone's wearing, but like, so there's these initiations and this weird dude with like these big ass red dimples on his face.
It looks like a seminar almost at the beginning because it's super huge. Like a cult, I think about it like maybe 15 people, 20 people like gathering.
Right. This is
secrecy.
Like 200 people in like an auditorium.
Yeah.
And they're just all just like getting off like, oh, we have 3 new initiations. Like, and the guy named Dimple like tells them to put these weird smiling masks that we saw that first lady with, put them over their faces. And the thing about Mob is he's so powerful, like he realizes there's like a small level like curse
hex on it?
Yeah, like a hex on the mask. So the other 2 initiations, they take off the mask and they're like smiling, like this weird manic laugh that they see everybody else in the auditorium doing.
It's like Joker gas almost. But like still conscious and still thinking about their problems, but the only thing is that they're just smiling through the whole thing.
It's like the Scarecrow mask from Batman.
Yeah.
Right?
Kinda. Yeah.
Which is funny that, like, when you think about it, like, the Batman authors are using, like, the same kind of, like, gas power for both Scarecrow and the Joker.
Well, the Joker kills people.
The Joker does kill people, but Scarecrow just wants to manipulate people.
He just wants to manipulate them through fear. Yeah.
So, if anything, Dimple is Scarecrow.
Yeah, if anything. Yeah, and then, we have this girl, which is one of like the president of like the press club.
Yeah, she's just this weird chick that thinks she's a reporter.
And like we know in Japan, school clubs control, you know, the government, you know, like the economy.
The president of
any club can do anything.
Any club can do anything always, which is so dumb. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, because even when the telepathy club is sitting around, these 4 other guys will just say, "Oh, president this, president that," when it's this nobody for this club that doesn't even exist.
It reminds me of the one scene in Dumb and Dumber when he's going through the airplane chute, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm a limo driver." And then he goes into the plane, and then he falls after.
I haven't seen Dumb and Dumber in bro, it must be at least 15 years.
Bro,
I am sorry if I don't remember that reference.
I watched it a couple of days ago. It's hilarious. It holds up still, I think.
I've never been a big fan of Jim Carrey, if I'm being completely honest. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing I've absolutely loved as a project that Jim Carrey was in,
Dream one?
Yeah, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like that. That's probably one of my favorite movies, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Because that thing's if you've never seen that movie, it's literally you working backwards on forgetting somebody. It's if you got your memory of a person surgically removed from your head and you had to experience every moment you had with them, but backwards from the very first time you met them, and then you fall in love with them all over again. Everyone should just go see Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm going too much on this. This isn't a nerd down or nothing, but just go watch it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a great movie. Go watch it.
And okay, so back to this LOL cult. So,
we see this girl.
Yeah,
and she takes off her mask and she's stripping because she's smiling, and we have this inner dialogue of her what the fuck is happening?
Why can't I control my jaw muscles? I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah, and then we see Mob. He's like, "Excuse me," he raises his hand. He's like, "Excuse me," and then he removes his mask. He's like, "I don't know if this is for me." It's I didn't know this was about laughing. It's I'm gonna get out of here.
You guys are weird. I'm gonna dip out. But then you see the cult leader. He's got this weird obsession with trying to make Mob laugh for some reason. So it's something about the laughing, and that's the cult thing. No. Something, but you're not entirely sure what. So what we get is this dumbass montage of
a tier competition between the top cultist and then also the cult leader, which is Dimple.
He has dimples on his face.
Yeah, sometimes they said Temple. I was like, is it Dimple? But yeah, you're right. It's the dimple.
It's because he has red dimple on his face.
Is that what Pikachu's red spots are? Dimple? No, right?
No, they're electric sacs on his face.
If you've ever one of them's negative and one of them's positive, yeah.
If you've ever read Pikachu's original Pokédex entry from Red and Blue, it's a mouse Pokemon that stores electricity in its sacs.
Correct.
Like me. So anyways, so the competition that happens is what you're describing here is so Dimple is okay, I'm gonna get my top 3 cult leaders and they're gonna make this boy laugh, and they play this game where they're each holding milk in their mouths and they're just staring at each other, and the first person to spit the milk in the other person's face loses, which is the most disgusting thing, especially after last year and COVID and how much we've been trying to stay away from people's fucking mouth
breathing
juices.
on each other.
Yeah, it's just weird to think that these people, these adult men, are just spitting on this little boy.
How weird is cake now, bro?
Ugh.
How weird is cake now? Don't get me wrong,
because
family thing.
So you're blowing on the cake, and everyone's supposed to eat off that now. Yeah. I've been shaking hands in the office lately, and it feels off, but
I always do this now. I'm
well, it's because I work with a lot of boomers too, so it's they really appreciate. I'm trying to. It's my first week in the office. I'm trying to make good with everybody.
I got you.
But anyway, so they're spinning.
Everybody gets one shake, and then after that, it's a fist bump.
Yeah, it's a wave. I'm not touching you after that. But so. Mob, because he's so void of emotion, he's not gonna laugh when these people are staring at him.
Especially with his psychic ability, he's almost like has this aura to him that that he's so powerful.
Yeah, but like he has such a dumb face that like everyone when they're doing the game, like instantly they just spit in his face. It's like Dimple can really be like, this is my best supporter. He can make anybody laugh, and he can hold his laugh in so good. But just like 5 seconds in, seeing Mob's ugly ass face, and he just starts laughing, spitting all over him. And again, it's Mob doing the same thing, raising his hand, and be like, hey, this is really stupid. Can I just leave?
It's hilarious because now we got Dimple like super mad about the whole thing, and now he's going after him in front of his whole cult, and this staring contest happens. But it almost seems like he changed the milk, because like the milk, it was as soon as he drank it, he spit it out.
Yeah, it was like expired or something weird.
Or
like,
did he hex it or something maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Because yeah, you're right. This was the first time Mob like spits it out. And he's like, "Ew, this isn't milk, bro. Like, what the fuck did you do?" And it's in Dimple's. Like, he's forgotten his main motivation was to make Mob laugh. And now he's just trying to one-up him. So Dimple gets so triggered that he just goes full fucking ghost mode right here. Because it was Dimple this entire time, this cult leader, was a spirit possessing a regular man and using his powers through laughter to, like, mind control everybody.
Yeah, which doesn't tell you much about the spirit, because he only wants to make you laugh.
Yeah, well, it's because he wanted followers.
Yeah, he wanted world domination almost.
Yeah, through laughter, which is like, that's bad guy motivations, I guess.
Hey, you gotta heal the world through comedy, bro.
But Mob is so powerful right here that he accidentally cures, like, the mind controlling for everybody.
Yeah.
Because, so, like, Mob, like, I forget what happened. He got, like...
it was like a blast from the stare down, and he, like, kind of shut down the entire, like...
This
cult.
whole spiritual network.
Yeah, this whole spiritual network, yeah.
And yeah, so then, like, this is where Dimple's finally starting to get it. Because he really just thought Mob was just some weird-ass fucking boy for some reason. Yeah. And this is where Dimple, like, turns the mind control back on, and he's like, oh fuck, I really have to fight this kid now. So like, it's funny because it's like One Punch Man. It's like he goes full fucking JoJo stand, he goes full fucking
and goes
what's Jotaro's fucking stand?
Jotaro's silver
Star Platinum.
Yeah, Star Platinum.
He goes full Star Platinum. He's just this big green yoked spirit. And
tries to do this like massive combo at him.
Yeah. And Mob is still like, stop it, get away from me.
And like he's like, then he shoots like one out of his mouth, and it's a direct shot to Mob, and she's just like, and then he just like blasts him, but nothing happens to him.
Yeah, Mob is still almost confused that it's even happening.
And we forgot that up to this point, we are at like 80%.
Yeah, okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. There are transition scenes a la the Monogatari series that, like, between each of these scenes, there's like the black screen and it reads like Mob psych level 89%, Mob psych level 96%. And it seems like the more annoyed he's getting, like the closer it's getting to 100. Because what happens right here is like, you get the typical anime speech from Dimple in his spirit mode, and he's like, I've never had to use my full power before, and he goes all out, and it annoys Mob, because he's still like a bug to Mob. Like, Mob is so powerful, and it hits 100%, and this is where we see like what the 100% Mob looks like. It's literally like wide-eyed, god, like psychic god person.
Like Rig. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I believe in every single instance that this happens, Mob is feeling a different emotion. And I think on this one it's rage.
Yeah.
Because Dimple's motivations to control people and take advantage of people, he didn't like that, obviously, because he's like RMC, good-hearted guy.
Right. I don't think this one's rage, because I think it's when they try fucking up his brother that one's rage.
Oh yeah, that one's rage.
This one's more like fresh. I can't remember what it is. So like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a specific emotion every time. And like, not to spoil anything, but that's what's cool about season 2 of Mob Psycho 100, because there's like a genuine feeling. Oh well, even the end of season 1, like, one of the power-ups is when Mob is feeling like so much gratitude and so much like looking up to somebody so much that like his emotions travel through that person, and they're like offered like the same level of overpoweredness as Mob.
For some reason, it gave me a feeling of like Like when we get to Gratitude 100,
Yeah.
it gave me a feeling of like United States Smash.
Shut the fuck up.
Bro, it gave me the same feeling, bro. I was like, yeah, Gratitude!
For me, that reminds me of like Dragon Ball Z, like Spirit Bomb kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, if we just give Goku our energy, he can make the Spirit Bomb.
It was within him. It wasn't from the outside.
I get it. I
don't know.
I get it. No, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, we see Mob going berserk mode and exercising the dimple spear from this cult leader human that we didn't really see any more of, right?
Yeah.
So he just kills the whole cult, and the whole people inside the cult are like, oh shit, we need to go find Mob. He's our new leader. You know, cult people.
Yeah. But again, like, it's a mix of two reactions. So it's the one you're talking about, but then it's also people at the same point being like, yo, where the fuck am I? Like, how the fuck did I get here? Mm. And you're right. It flashes back to that reporter chick, and she's like, oh, I was just possessed, and it must have been Mob that unleashed all of us. And now, like, it's kind of funny because there's like two girls that are now obsessed with Mob because of his psychic powers, which is the exact opposite of what he wants, or what like the girl he's actually interested in wants, because the president of the telepathy club like becomes obsessed with him too once she finds out he's a telepath. Correct. And the same with this reporter chick. Like, she's always harassing him after school. They're always hanging out because she's like, yo, let me interview you for the school paper. Tell me more about your psychic powers. He's all like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't got psychic powers. Don't talk to me.
And he ends up having kind of small dates with these girls because, yeah, he has those interview dates. And then he also, with the president of the telepathy club, she's obsessed with aliens. And she believes that by hanging out with this guy for a while, he's going to be able to tell who's an alien. And it turns like into like a Men in Black sequence.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that dude looks weird. He must be an alien.
That's exactly what it is. And it's like in Men in Black 1 where they're pointing out just random ugly people. It's just like, oh, you must be an alien. No, dude, that guy's just ugly. But so yeah, he explodes. But what's funny is that like the ending of the episode is him at home, or the beginning of the next episode is him waking up at home, and there's just like this little green floating blob. Mm-hmm. Just following him around, but it's green and it has those like red dimples that we saw in the Dimple Spirit, and you see Mob like right away being like, "Why the fuck are you here?" Because it's the same spirit. He's just like underpowered now because Mob like stripped him of his powers.
Yeah, he looks like Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like the little trash Pokemon from Gen 4.
Trash Pokemon.
Yeah, there's a little trash can Pokemon. He just looks like a little trash bag. Anyways. But so episode 4 is called Idiots Only Event. And that's because the theme of episode 4 is it's all about like middle school gangs, air quotes, like beating up on each other and doing like, I don't know, having like little rumbles and fight clubs amongst themselves.
Yeah, it's almost like fanaticism in a way, like soccer leagues in like London and shit like that. Like, they are representing their school through a gang that just fights each other sometimes with other schools.
It reminds me of the Rumble from Anchorman.
The Rumble? Oh, yes, with the news.
Right, where all the different news crews just come through and this random alley just beat up on each other.
Yeah.
So, like, Mob School, and all these middle schools have stupid-ass names. Like, Mob School is called Salt Middle School. Mm-hmm. And their, like, rival gang is called Black Vinegar Middle School. And so we're introduced to like probably like a pretty important character. We're introduced to Tenga Onigawara, and he's like the air quotes leader of like Salt Middle School gang, right? Uh-huh. But the thing that happens in this episode is they're going to jump the Black Vinegar Middle School guys, but they all get fucked up by like this random like skinny blonde kid.
Yeah. And right here is where when I really saw One Punch Man in it. Because if you think about it, Mob and Hanazawa, like, they're the two main characters in One Punch Man.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's... Yeah, I can see it because, like, after this episode, Hanazawa is, like...
Obsessed with him.
Like, it's Mob's right-hand man. He's like, dude, I know how powerful he is. That's, like... Mob becomes, like, his mentor to a certain level. And it's exactly like what's that blonde robot dude's name from One Punch Man?
I can't remember, dude.
It's been so long since I watched One Punch Man. Anyways, Dimple keeps following Mob around, but what's funny is he keeps trying to possess Mob, but like Mob is so overpowered, like Dimple like can't even like attempt to do it, or he's gonna get like laser fired and just like disappear.
Correct, because even the next day after that fight with Dimples, he appears in his room, and then Mob just like fucks him up a little bit in his little like ghost form, and he's like, "Oh, my bad, I just needed to make sure I wasn't dreaming when you were here." And he's like, "What the hell?" Is like, "Okay, well, stand still, I'm gonna exercise you." And he's like, "Yo, hold on, I'm in your team." It's like, I don't know, dude. Let's go ask Master about it. They go to Master's to the Master Console clinic,
to
whatever.
Reagan's like office.
Yeah, to Reagan's office, and Reagan trying to put up his fucking scam artist thing here. Mob walks in, he's like, "Hey, dude, this green dude is following me around. Should I exercise him or should I just let him be?" And then this dude's just like, "Oh shit, I can't see him. He's probably too weak for me to see him." So
I am so powerful. I can't. He doesn't even register on my radar. So don't even worry about it.
So just do whatever you want with him. Blah blah. So he ends up not exercising him, and he becomes like almost a supporting character.
Yeah. Because especially that's reinforced like the end of season 1 of Mob Psycho is like the main 3 of like the office is Reagan, Mob, and now Dimple. And like it kind of stays like that, especially even when like they try to raid like the villain's den at the end of season 1. It's the same thing. Like Dimple becomes really important, which is funny because he's like the most like real person out of all of these characters. Like his motivations are super surface level. He just wants to get more powerful. He's like, we get a lot of like his inner thoughts because since he's the only straight shooter here, he'll be like, "Hey, why is this guy like such an idiot, but he's so powerful? Like, what's his real motivation here? Like, what's he trying to do?"
He's almost talking to the audience, but it's not that noticeable.
Exactly.
And after that,
well, okay. So what ends up happening is the Salt Middle School gang is like fucked up by the skinny dude, right? So then Onigawara, as the leader of the delinquents, his bright idea is that he's going to get the Body Improvement Club to fuck up the Black Vinegar Middle School kids. But it's fucked up because we've been discussing how Mob is like not capable to notice like manipulation. Mm-hmm. So Onigawara's big fucking idea is he's going to leave a fake love note in Shige's shoe locker. But Shige, knowing that Shige's such a loser, that he's going to go wherever this letter says. And if Shige goes, because he's probably going to get fucked up because he's a little kid, the rest of the Body Improvement Club's going to go and try to protect him.
Correct. And a little bit before that, we know that what's his name? Tenga? Onigawara? Yeah, he tried to convince the Body Improvement Club, but the Body Improvement Club was like, "Nah, dude, we gotta work out. It's leg day."
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, the leader of the Body Improvement Club even tells him, just like, "Why would you focus on those trivial things when you could just be working out?"
Yeah, exactly. Gains, brother, gains. And throughout this time, I mean, Mob, he's still involved in the Body Improvement Club. Like, he's still following these guys around. He's still...
And, like, it's hilarious every time they show, like, their morning jog, because it's just Shige just, like, dying from an asthma attack in the background.
Just get, like, the Mob stamina, 0%.
Yeah, like, Mob is his own foil, because it's, like, he's this all-powerful psychic and can accomplish anything, but he's so weak, like physically and mentally.
And then somehow Onigawara finds out that he was the one that beat up everybody, so he tricks him into meeting the other school gang, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Mob like lets himself get captured kind of, because like he just, like we saw with the cult, like he just kind of goes along when people tell him to do something.
Because he knows he's not in any real danger. Like Saitama, he's like, okay.
Yeah, like ever. Like he knows he's no real danger. He just gets like slightly annoyed. But he has his own like self-written code, which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? Because it's like in Spider-Man, for example, like Spider-Man gets like his code and like his motivation to help people from his dead uncle. Mob, all on his own, and kind of from Reigen a little bit, like, decided that he's never gonna use his powers on somebody. He refuses to hurt people. It's like that, like, if you ever knew, like, a really big person, like, somebody that was just, like, really tall and super strong, but they were, like, they would never hurt anybody because they grew up knowing that they could really fuck somebody up.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because we haven't mentioned that throughout this traumatic experiences for Mob, he's been having this inner conflict with himself. His brother's always there for him. His brother will be like, hey man, it's like, you seem kind of weird today. It's like, you want to talk about it? You want to do this? And then again, it's like, hey, what's up, man? It's like, you know, you can tell me anything about whatever, you know? Because we know that Mob, as growing up, he wasn't really controlling his powers. So there's a little joke throughout the whole season that he keeps bending spoons during dinner.
Yeah, like, he's so powerful, he'll be putting the spoon to his face to eat, and he'll accidentally bend it.
And also throughout this time, and at this point of the conversation or the anime, we know that the brother, which his name is Ritsu, he is also trying to awaken those powers.
Right.
He stays up late at night and tries to bend spoons or something.
Yeah, and it's I know I just said that Mob is his own foil, but Ritsu's, like, the actual, like, character foil, because, like, Ritsu's, even though he's a year younger, he's a lot more mature than Mob. He's really smart, like, top of his class level smart.
He has more social skills.
He's not, like, a weird-ass asthmatic when he's running. Like, he's actually capable. But, like you're describing, all he wants is to have what his brother has, and all his brother wants is to have what Ritsu has.
Correct.
Like, you hear Mob say out loud so many times. We never get inner dialogue. Well, we do, but we get very few pieces of inner dialogue from Mob because he'll say everything out loud. He'll say all his motivations and his wants out loud, and he says several times, he's like, Ritsu, like, that's all I want, is to be more like my younger brother. Mm-hmm. And
the reason I mentioned that is because once the fighting starts and once Mob gets taken to the Black Vinegar School,
right,
he meets this other Esper, the blonde dude.
Right, and so he was the guy that beat up the Salt Middle School gang originally. Mm-hmm. And that's how Black Vinegar has been seen as, like, the most powerful middle school, but that's because they're cheating. They have a whole ass fucking Esper. Mm-hmm. And we see his motivations too. He has what Mob wants. Or, like, what Mob should maybe use his powers for, because, like, the thing about this character is he has a lot of women around him. Mm-hmm. What's his name? Hanazawa. You said it earlier. Yeah, Hanazawa. He uses his coolness from, like, beating up on other schools to, like, get all the girls and stuff like that.
And he uses his psychic powers to have what it's just so weird, because as an audience, and I haven't watched, I know I've seen a couple of episodes of Mob Psycho 100, but I couldn't really put it together. Now that I've seen it entirely, for me, what it did as an audience is like, it's like, oh shit, what would I do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you hear that from Dimple, too. Dimple will flat out tell Mob, like, when he sees him dying during the body improvement exercise, and be like, dude, you're like this all-powerful psychic. If you really just want to go pick up that girl, just, like, go pick her up using your cool-ass psychic powers.
Yeah.
And Mob's just not that kind of person, you know what I mean?
Because he doesn't want them. He feels... Because we haven't even mentioned, or I don't know if it's mentioned at this point, that there was an accident growing up.
It's like, yeah, it's like around here. So that's, like, probably the coolest fight we've had from here on outward. Because, like, every fight, like, builds on the last one, and they're always bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the time we're in, like, episode 12, like, the fights are, like ground shaking, like, destroy a building with one single blow kind of shit. Mm-hmm. But right here, it's a psychic battle. We get a psychic battle between Hanazawa and Mob, but Mob doesn't want to fight back because he's not only listening to his own self be like, no, you can't use his powers on people. He's hearing, like, the voice of his mentor, Reigen, being like, no, dude, like, you shouldn't use your powers on people. Mm-hmm. So
he has a very good way of describing it later in the season, that he's like, your psychic abilities is not what defines you. It's a part of your character. It is part of your character, and you should make the best from it. You know what I'm saying? And it's
which is like the opposite of what Dimple was saying.
Right. And the opposite of Hanazawa's motivations, because he's like, I know you're a fucking psychic. I know you have a lot of power. Fucking fight me, because I'm the MC. I'm the protagonist of my story.
Yeah, he calls himself the protagonist of his own story.
And he's like, you're my enemy, and we need to see who the fuck is stronger.
He talks like what's his name, the guy with the white hair and all the patches over his face from Jujutsu Kaisen, where like he thinks because he's a psychic, because he's powered, like everyone else is just fodder to him. Mm-hmm. Everyone else is just sheep, and he's like this all powerful different species from everybody else. Like he's the superior being here. And so he's fucking up Mob. Like he's destroying buildings with Mob's face.
Mm-hmm. Is this at the point that Mob actually is getting some damage?
Yeah,
because we haven't seen him get damage at all.
Yeah, he starts getting damaged a little bit because if you remember, Hanazawa is trying to like break through Mob's like force field. He's got like a passive like psychic force field about him. But at a certain point, like, Mob just gets worn down so much that's when he hits 100%. Like, that's when he snaps. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's when it was Rage. Because he just goes all out on that point.
I don't think it was Rage. I think when it was Rage, you're right. I think that one is when the first Scar guy was beating up his brother.
Right.
That's when it was Rage. I really can't remember what the next motivation or the next
you know what it was? It's because he passed out.
Oh yeah, he did pass out.
Right. So like Hanazawa is literally choking him like a fucking psychopath.
Because he knows that his psychic powers are not hurting Mob.
Yeah, so, which frustrates his ego, because he's like, I thought I was this all-powerful psychic. Who is this fucking loser that like isn't even fazed by me?
Exactly. And right before he starts choking him like a psycho, Mob was like, oh, I see now. It's like, you're like me. Yeah. It's like, you're so insecure that you use your psychic powers to make what I want to be, but you're not. And fucking Hanazawa has this mental breakdown, and he goes for an actual like physical.
Yeah, like his literal hands are over his throat, and he's literally like squeezing his windpipe to the point that Mob passes out. Mm-hmm. And Mob's like all powerful psyche, because he's been left unconscious, is now like left to break through, and that's what fucks up everything. Like, this shit's wild. Like, Mob makes like a giant pillar of like psychic power to the point that he's like
blasting through the clouds.
Yeah, he's like blasting through the clouds, and he's like driving Hanazawa straight fucking up.
I love the first blow though. The first blow was just like him blocking his attack, mm-hmm. and like he gets naked. Like he fucking rips the clothes of Hanazawa, putting his pride to zero. And
he cuts his hair.
And he cuts his fucking hair before that. So I was just already like, oh shit, I can't be looking like this. And yeah, he gets blasted with like this Thanos moon-breaking attack towards the sky.
Yeah, it's like if Superman just really punched you as hard as he could, and you just went straight the fuck up.
And he's just like, fuck, I'm dead. And I think that's when he passes out again. I think the attack finishes with
like he comes to?
Yeah.
Or that yeah. Because like, so they're at the top of the clouds, and you're right, he comes to, like, I guess the cold air on his face, whatever, and he sees like Hanazawa with a bald fucking head because he just shaved him to shame him, because that's him trying to put Hanazawa in his place. He's shaming him by taking away his hair that he thought was really cool, and he's butt ass naked, and he's just falling down from the classroom. He's like, oh my god, save me, oh my god, fucking save me, I don't want to fucking die. Yeah. And it's just, Mob's just such a nice dude, and he just saves him, and like now Hanazawa has like this
infatuation,
like this respect. Like, mm-hmm. He's just like, he'll talk up Mob till the end of the day. Yeah.
And then in this aftermath, we see that Mob is looking at the scene of what he did, and he's like, fuck, like, I had another episode.
Yeah, that's what I mean about like that, like blackout kind of thing, like that instant regret, like. And that's what makes it worse for him in like about the middle of the season, because like he tries extra like clamping down on himself, which is like not healthy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if anything, Mob needs to learn to like do like a balance between the two, but he shuts in more. And that's going to lead to like bigger explosions later. It's like when cops beat their wives because their jobs are so stressful.
Yeah, exactly like that. Oh. And we see the sequence of him walking through the rain, he going into his house, and then again his brother is there. It's like, hey bro, here's our towel, you're gonna catch a cold. Yeah. And the brother, he has been watching the news. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe this could have been my brother and stuff like that.
Right.
And his motivations kind of get clouded because he is so obsessed with trying to have the powers that his brother has.
Right.
But also almost protecting his brother.
Right.
In the way that, oh shit, my brother can't... What the fuck is happening to my brother at school?
Which is cool writing, because he's the younger brother here.
Yeah, which is cool. But like, when he gets introduced to like the student council, and then the student council president's a kind of a cunt.
Yeah, because Ritsu's like so smart and capable that he's like expected to be in the student council. It's like the guy from Kaguya-sama.
Yeah.
Right? And he gets caught up with like some shady figures within like the student council themselves. And this is where we get like the flashback from Ritsu about like what happened when Mob first let go. Or we get part of it right here. I think we get the second half of it, like in episode 12, episode 13.
Yeah, I think so.
But the general story we have so far is that like they were in elementary school, both Mob and Ritsu, and they were gonna get bullied for like their lunch money by some middle schoolers, and Mob like snaps in and out of his blackout, and the next thing he knows, like all the thugs are fucked up, but so's his brother. And that's what makes Mob feel like so like eternally guilty, because he's just like, dude, I hurt like my favorite person in the world. Like, that's so awful of me.
And since then, he's had a resentment towards like his abilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, that's right. That's why like he wishes he didn't have them. He wishes he was just a normal person. But what we get into like Ritsu's descent into madness, into his curse of the abyss, is that he wants power more than anything at this point, because he wants to feel like his brother, because he feels inadequate, even though he's like this perfect student and like he has more social skills and he's like handsome compared to his brother. So he starts falling for this weird gimmick that the vice president of the student council tries doing, where like all the thugs in the school that we are now, as an audience, like we kind of care about from the last couple episodes where they were fighting the Black Vinegar middle school kids, and they get all the thugs and they're like framing them for like really sussy activities.
Yeah, and the reason his brother Ritsu kind of agrees with his ideology is that it will make a less stressful place for his brother to be, because he doesn't want him to, lash out again or something. Which, again, that's why I mentioned his motivations get clouded by the entire thing.
The more we're talking about it, the more I'm realizing Mob Psycho 100 is just a play on everybody's motivations. Like, it's just like, kind of like a literature, like, it's a literary deconstruction on people's motivations at an adolescent age. Because the vice president, we get his actual motivation, and it's because he feels inadequate about his brother, because the vice president of the student council isn't actually that smart of a guy, but his brother is like the top of his class in high school and he's going to a good college, and even his mom will tell him flat out like, yo, why can't you just be more like your brother? Which we've sort of seen from Mob's and Ritsu's parents, because the mom will say things all the time when Mob like bends his spoons while eating.
Stop being a freak.
Yeah, like stop being weird. Like be more like your brother. Be more like Ritsu. Why aren't you good at school? And the dad's just like, oh, don't worry about it, honey. Like Mob's a good kid. He doesn't get in any trouble.
It's just a phase.
Yeah, but and that's what's funny about it, because like right now it's Ritsu getting in all the trouble, because the very first thing they do is the main thug Onigawara from the last couple episodes. I don't even know who would fall for this, but they set him up as being a hentai, as being a pervert, by planting all the girls' recorders, like the literal, like a flute, like a recorder, ripping off the tops, like the mouthpieces, sticking them all in his desk and his backpack. And that's how they were going to frame him as being a pervert, because he needed to be near all the girls' mouthpieces.
Yeah, it was a weird. Yeah, it's a weird setup, and I don't know if it's just weird.
Is that how Japanese people think? Like that's the worst thing you can frame somebody for. Is like you need to put they like spit. They like things that have been spit on.
I don't know, man, but like it tells you a little bit more of the. It's almost like the guy was projecting his own.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm glad you picked up on it too, because like the second one is like the same thing. It's like, you know, like girls' gym shorts or It was it was like literally gym shorts. It was like girls' gym uniforms that they planted in his backpack or something.
And another member,
right, as another one of the thugs or whatever. The air quotes thugs. They're nice guys. They helped Mob.
Yeah, they did.
We like them now.
Yes.
But yeah, same thing. And it's just the vice president, not only super insecure, everyone's insecure in this. Everyone but Mob. Well, including Mob.
Well, Mob, yeah, but like, I don't know.
Everyone else is like weird, like you need to go to therapy kind of insecure. Mob's like the only like mentally sane one trying to work through it like a normal fucking person.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and but what the issue here is that the Black Vinegar middle school thugs that were beat up on by Mob have now started like the legend of white tea poison. Like, so they're telling all these other middle schools like, yo, don't fuck with Salt Middle School. White tea poison's there, because Mob was wearing a white t-shirt when he fucked up their whole fucking middle school. So now all these other schools, to like prove themselves and seem all badass, they're gonna go fuck up whoever white tea poison is. And that's where the vice president starts getting jumped after school, because they're like, hey, we know that uniform. That's Salt Middle School. Are you white tea poison? He's like, no, guys, I'm just some nerdy vice president. And they just beat the fuck out of him. Which is like his just desserts. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You don't feel bad for the guy. You're like, nah, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah,
like,
you got beat up for the wrong reasons, and I'm glad.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. And then we also see the Dimple, it has like this other agenda with Ritsuko. Yeah. Because he's like, ooh, if I can't possess his brother, I'm gonna try to see if I can awaken this dude's psychic abilities up.
Yeah, and you're right. I'm glad you brought that up now, because that's happening at the exact same time that Ritsu and the vice president are like framing all the thugs from Salt Middle School. Is like Mob is awakening Ritsu's psychic powers by Ritsu like letting him possess him a little bit. And that's how he's able to like finally through Dimple, he's able to channel his psychic energy, and he can actually use it in much of the same way Mob does.
Correct, because even Dimple is not able to possess him fully.
Right, because he even says like, oh shit, like Ritsu's got some psychic power too, like I can't even control this boy. And you know why? He got more underpowered a second time because Hanazawa fucked up Dimple.
Oh, yeah.
Because when Mob didn't want to fight back, Dimple went full soul mode, full spirit mode, full Star Platinum mode, and was just instantly destroyed by Hanazawa. Correct. So now so now Dimple's like double so underpowered, and that's why he can't overtake Ritsu.
And I think right before Dimples possesses him or channels him into his psychic ability, he was going through to like a training club with some other kids.
You're right.
That they knew magic tricks.
So Ritsu gets like a Mob moment where he's just walking down the street and somebody's like, hey, are you Kanagawa? And he's like, sure, I'm Kanagawa. Because Ritsu and Mob have the same last name, right? And he's like, so he follows this random stranger to an ESP like producing lab club thing, where this billionaire, or like the son of billionaires, he says it's all inheritance, is like trying,
which I respect for him putting that out there.
Yeah, he says it out front. He's like, yo, don't think too much of my money. Like, this is all my family's money.
Yeah, I got shit to do, bro. He's like, I just want to be a psychic too.
Yeah. So he's like, this is all my family's money, and my only goal in life is to become a psychic. So I'm trying to use my lab and my resources to produce other psychics, and somehow that's gonna turn him psychic. I don't know.
Learning through osmosis?
Right, yeah, I don't. Maybe they were going to develop some technology or some, I don't know, whatever. So, what ends up happening is Ritsu's in this ESP lab, and he's like trying to explain to all these other espers he meets, who are all like bad espers. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a set of twins who only have telepathy between each other.
Yeah, a total twin trope thing,
yeah,
you know?
It's a girl that can predict cards face down
60% of the time.
60% of the time.
It works every time.
It's a guy that can only lift up to like a grain of sand at a time. It's a guy that can make like a flame with his fingers.
A spark.
Yeah, it's
like
a spark.
Almost,
it's not even a flame.
Yeah. It holds for like half a second.
And so we know Ritsu's like judging all of them because he's like, none of y'all are real fucking espers. Like, I know a real fucking esper.
But I guess because of his time with the student council guy, he saw these people and they were like, these people are not that bad. Like, these people are,
Yeah,
so he kind of sticks around.
He's like, as long as they're not the vice president, anybody but that guy.
Yeah.
And
so we go back to the alley.
Where
the whole Anchorman 2 fucking brawl happens. Or Anchorman 1, brawl happens.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what ends up happening. So now that Ritsu has an understanding of how to use his powers while controlled as Dimple, he kind of is just bullying everybody. He's just fucking up like all these other schools. So they think Ritsu is white tea poison. Mm-hmm. So all these middle schools get in one alley and they're all going to jump Ritsu at the same fucking time. Mm-hmm. But like Ritsu's like a powerful psychic and he's like getting away with it and he's fucking up all these dudes.
Mm-hmm. And we have some inner dialogue that, like I said, I'm still going to mention that his clouded motivation, it was he was doing this to protect, in a way, Mob.
Right, but he lost his motivation.
He lost his motivation because at this point, Mob comes in after the beat up.
Right, because, so yeah, off screen at the same time, but like around the same part of town, I'm guessing, Mob is on a air quotes date with the president of the telepathy club because she wants Mob to point out another telepath. And Mob notices some guy in a purple hoodie and she's like, and like, without him telling the president, he's like, that dude's totally a psychic, but he ignores it. But then it takes, Hanazawa viewing Ritsu getting fucked up because the guy in the purple sweater is part of like an underground Esper organization who's here to capture a Kanagawa. Mm-hmm. Which again, like Ritsu's being confused to be Mob because Ritsu's out here using his psychic powers actively. Because nobody knows that Mob would like never fucking do something like that.
Correct.
So this guy in the purple hoodie is like fucking up Ritsu because like he's an actual like real Esper warrior. Like he's trained, like he's part of an organization. He knows what he's doing. And it's up to Hanazawa viewing that. No. Oh fuck, I'm losing my timetable here. It's because so Hanazawa sees Ritsu fucking up the gang members. Hanazawa goes and tattletales on Mob. Mob walks into the alley and sees Ritsu over like all the passed out bodies of all the gang members. Yes. And that's when the guy with the purple hoodie goes and tries to capture Ritsu.
Correct, because at this point, Mob, it's like, he's like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, because they had a small conversation that his psychic powers were active already. But then when he gets there, he's like, what are you doing? It's like, because of what you said, his own code is like, don't use it on people.
Yeah.
Don't use it on people, dude. It's like, I'm a twig and I can get break with this fools, but I'm not going to, use my powers. And he's apologizing to like a nolly of fucking bodies. He's like, hey, sorry, my brother.
Yeah, it's like that real Japanese shame thing because it's Mob apologizing on Ritsu's behalf, getting on his knees and bowing his head on the ground. Like they're in a dirty ass alley.
And the guy that you're talking about, I think it's Koyama, the first SCART member that we meet. He's on the purple sweater on top of the building looking at all this, and he's taking Ritsu, and Mob obviously loses his shit.
Yeah, because so he tries to capture Ritsu. Ritsu thinks he's like a badass still, but Koyama just fucks him up. And just seeing his brother hurt is like the rage, like instantly 100%. Yeah. We haven't even been seeing the off-screen like black, like 50%, 60%. No, just instantly 0 to 100. Like you touch his fucking brother, he is gonna fucking murder you.
Hell yeah. And we fucking see this whole sequence of amazing animation, him rushing Koyama, which is the purple guy, the SCAR member, and just beating the hell out of him. But Koyama is also a very strong psychic.
Right.
So he's also beating the shit out of both Ritsu and Mob.
Right, because Mob, like, is so used to, like, nobody being able to touch him because of his psychic barrier that he passively has up all the time. And the thing about Koyama is he has, like, boxing gloves out of, like, psychic energy almost that he can, like, wrap around his forearms and his fists. And it's just, like, one punch just destroying, like, Mob's shield. And Mob's just like, what the fuck? Like, why am I actually getting hurt right now? This is, like, crazy. And Mob, like, in his 100% form, knocks Koyama, like, all the way up. Like, kind of the same he did with What's-His-Face earlier, with Hanazawa. But Koyama is actually able to recover because he's an adult. He's been in fights before with other Espers. And he is able to, like, knock Mob out in his 100% form. And he grabs Ritsu and dips out.
He actually knocks him out like a bitch.
Yeah.
With a spray.
With a spray.
Yeah.
Because one of the other Scar members gave him, like, a spray that only affects, like, Espers or something.
Curse spray or some shit. Yeah. And he fucking dips out. And then Hanazawa saves him, right?
Right. So, like, Ritsu
is taken.
Right. Ritsu's taken, but then Mob wakes up in Hanazawa's place, right? Is that how that worked?
Yes.
Right? And so Hanazawa and Mob make up a plan that they're like, okay, we're going to go break into the ESP lab because that's their only lead, even though they don't even know who the Scars are yet.
Yeah.
So Hanazawa's like, hey, let's go to this ESP lab run by this billionaire. They tried recruiting me because I'm such a badass psychic, whatever. And they go, and it's already been, like, ransacked by the Scar, like, Esper organization.
Yeah, and they kidnap the kids, the Magic Club.
It's called Claw.
Claw?
The organization's called Claw. The top, like, 10 members are called Scars.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So...
But you're talking about the lab that is being sacked is where the kids are, right?
Right.
Yeah,
the bad Espers.
Yeah, the bad Espers. And I want to mention, before we get a little bit ahead, is that throughout that alley fight, there was a piece of dialogue where Ritsu confesses his real emotions to his brother. And it's like, I was always scared of you, and I couldn't step up to you because I knew you were more powerful than me, and that's why I wanted powers, and you don't know how it feels, and blah blah blah. And it's a whole emotional thing because Mob, like, this whole time,
he was looking up to his brother.
He was looking up to his brother when his brother was having this moral issue with his motivations. Yeah. And it's kind of sad because his brother, your brother, is also going through the same kind of thing that you're going, but more kind of in the bad way.
Yeah.
You know? And it's kind of sad when he's taken because...
And it's sad that neither of them noticed. I think that's what made both of them feel bad. Is that, like, they spent so much time with each other and they looked so much up to each other that they never talked it amongst each other to be like, you know what I mean? Just talk the shit out as opposed to letting it, like... Build up like this, and you end up fucking up a bunch of gang members in an alley or some weird shit.
Yeah. That's how shit ends. But, yeah, anyways, he gets kidnapped. We know that the lab got sacked by the Claw.
Right. So now it's up to the leftover psychic people. So the psychic people in the ESP lab are captured along with Ritsu. So... At the same sequence that we're going to be describing next is, like, Ritsu's in the lab, in the Claw, like, organization with the bad Espers. But it's also Mob and Hanazawa and Dimple trying to break into the Claw organization to break out Ritsu. So, it's kind of... This is where, like, it really, really, really reminds me of One Punch Man, like, a lot. Because One Punch Man... It introduces a lot of characters that have a build-up to be super powerful, and they have really unique powers and interesting character designs, but after 5 minutes on screen, they all end up, like, dead or passed out because they're not as powerful as the actual MC.
Correct. They want to emphasize how powerful the MC is. Through exaggerating the abilities of a lot of the monsters. And it turns into, like, a fucking monster beatdown fucking sequence.
Yeah, it's just boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. Because, like, the next, like, 6 episodes, we'll get, like, 3 boss fights in 20 minutes. Because what immediately happens is Koyama, the guy in the purple sweater that captured Ritsu, is going to this meeting with the Scars, and he's like, yo, dude, this middle school kid fucked me up. And they're all explaining to him, then why didn't you go capture that other Esper? And he's trying to explain to them, like, no, dude, like, I literally could not. Like, he would have fucked me up. So we get this character with, like, a cool design, you know what I mean? He's got a scar straight over his nose. He's got black and white hair, this crazy mustache, this crazy beard. His name's Terada. And he's like, oh, I'll go fuck up these two middle school kids. I'll go fuck up Hanazawa, and I'll go fuck up Mob. But again, that's a joke. Just like, it doesn't even show the fight. It's just like one split screen from one scene to another. We have Hanazawa and Mob like they're waterboarding the guy. They're dumping him in water, not letting him have breath, and like questioning him at the same time. And this is probably like one of my favorite scenes, because it's Mob being like, hey, Hanazawa, maybe we should like let him breathe. He doesn't seem like he's having a good time. Let's give him some water.
Yeah.
And it's just Hanazawa being like, you don't even realize how cruel it would be to give him water right now.
Yeah.
And Hanazawa's like, nah, let's keep dumping him. Let's keep questioning him. And it's just Mob like listing off. Well, he already said his name, his organization, his Bob's name, his boss's name, where Ritsu is.
Name.
Yeah, the code names, his powers.
And then I think he's like, and some stuff that we didn't even ask for. It's like, and I believe then that's why he said that. It's like, dude, it's like, we got what we wanted. It's like, just give him a glass of water.
and yeah, there's like a little bit of buildup right here, because it's like they let him go. Mob's a nice guy, and they go to where the base is, and it's the same Scar member just coming out. He's like, I'm gonna use my psychic whips on you, and I'm gonna destroy you. It's like fucking JoJo's or some shit where they're over explaining and naming their power. And then like 30 seconds later, it's just Mob just like squishing him between trees and some shit.
And then for some reason, Hanazawa was like, oh, I learned his technique, and he also uses the wind whips or whatever, which reminds me of I can't remember his name, the supporting character in One Piece. Doesn't he have those fucking metal whips sometimes?
In One Piece?
Yeah, so he have those, or am I mistaken? Or is that another anime? Maybe that's another anime.
I don't know what we're talking about.
The blonde dude, the robot dude.
Oh, you said One Piece.
I mean, not One Piece, my bad.
One Punch Man. Yeah.
One Punch Man.
What's his name? It's like Getz or something.
I don't know.
But anyways, yeah. So like, it's these stupid ass whips, but then Mob, it just like whole ass just squishes him between trees, and we get like this piece of dialogue from Hanazawa that's like, that's what happens when you try using method over just raw talent. Like, you can do whatever fancy psychic power you want, no one can touch Mob.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how like every single one of these next fights is gonna go out. It's like Dimple's there too, and he possesses the body of one of the security guards out front, and he's gonna like bullshit his way pretending to be a security guard member for Claw, and that's how he's gonna like find Ritsu too.
Yeah, and at this moment, like Dimple, it's already like full crew member.
Yeah.
You know,
he's just like he just does whatever Mob says from at this point on.
Yeah.
And so off screen, we get from the main three we were just describing, Dimple, Hanazawa, and Mob. We have Ritsu with the bad espers from the ESP lab, and he's being interrogated by like the Claw members, and they're like, yeah, now that we have you guys captured, we're gonna send you to like our training facility, and we're gonna turn you into badass espers, and we're gonna do experiments on you. And we even get this one guy. He's just like this big dumb looking guy with a giant like 12-inch chin and like a giant scar running through it.
Yeah.
And he shows, he grabs one of the twins, one of the bad Esper boys, the ones that have the telepathic link between each other. He grabs one and like takes him off to another room, and you're like assuming that he's being beaten or something. And then he shows all the kids like this like image of this twin being all fucked up, and that's how they're gonna like scare them into doing whatever they say.
Correct.
But and again, that's why it's like One Piece, because like we're getting all this drama and all this narrative about characters that like don't matter in the long run, because we get like character building from them where it's like, okay, we're going to bust out of this cage. You're going to do your flame super good. And then you're going to use your telepathy to put the key in the hole. And you're going to use your ability to guess at 60% and take us down the right tunnel to go capture the brother.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so low level compared to like
what's happening
outside, which is just like, there are guys that like are shooting like literal flames and lava and shit. Like one of the Hanazawa fights is he's fighting this Scar that like literally produces giant flames that would barbecue anybody. Mm-hmm. And all Hanazawa does is he just like makes like a psychic bubble around him so that he burns himself instead.
Yeah.
And then we're getting sequences and cutoffs of like Mob fighting a girl who has like the best fighting ability of all the Scars. And like you see Mob getting fucked up and you an audience member, you're just like, that's weird. Like, how is he getting fucked up?
Yeah.
And it's not until he describes like, oh, it's because my master told me never to hit a woman.
Yeah, he's like,
I can't hit a girl. I can't hit a girl even though she's beating me up.
But then he remembered that the master told him, it's like, as long as it's on self-defense, you're good to go. And then he remembers, it's like, all right.
Well, he says it to her. He tells, her name is Tsuchiya. He tells Tsuchiya, like, hey, I like, he's crying and she's like, why are you crying? She's like, you're really hurting me, but you're a girl and I can't fight you. And she's like, thank you for being such a gentleman and such a white knight. You're such a good guy. If you want, I'll let you hit me and we can fight on even ground. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, buddy. And he just like one-shots her. And so you're just like, oh.
Wow, the Kami combo from Luffy.
Yeah. He just gumma no pistoled this bitch and just knocked her through a fucking wall. And in the background, like the leader of the division, this old man Ishiguro is just like, well, he's watching everything through the cameras and everything. Yeah. And of course it's anime, so the boss can't go out there until the very end. He's just watching all his henchmen just die over his cameras.
Well, they do have a good fucking number of people, bro. It's like 20 motherfuckers right here on the claw.
Yeah, they got like 20 claw. Well, yeah, they have a bunch of Scar members, and then they have
division leaders, and then they have the Ultimate 5.
And there's like dozens of rank and file, just unpowered people that like, because again, cutting to our unpowered, basically badass group, is they sneak into a room with all these unpowered claw members, and they're like sneaking away with the twin. It's like fucking Scooby-Doo or something. They're just like sneaking behind the ghost, but then they catch them at the last second. And the old man member of the claw that's part of this unpowered group that's supposed to be watching this twin, it's just like, just let them go. Don't you know that we're unpowered and we can never stand up to these guys ever? And it's all the claw members asking the old member of the old man, the mentor, like, yo, why would you do that? Like, why are we even in this organization if we're never going to be powered, or we're never going to be like we're never going to have influence if the goal of Claw is to have world like domination through psychic powers. Right. And it's just him being like, it's because we're along for the journey. Like, I fully trust that like our boss is going to be the leader of the fucking world, which is like some like all for one type shit. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me a lot of like the current arc in One Piece, because not really trying to spoil anything, but there's like certain members of this one super bad pirate crew that can like be willingly given powers, and if they're one of the lucky few that actually inherit it, then they're automatically like lifted up like the Scars are, because the thing about Claw is they're artificially producing psychic powers. Correct. Because they've discovered that through like intense physical trauma,
like mutants from X-Men.
Yeah, it's like mutants from X-Men. Through intense physical trauma, you can awaken their mutant powers, you can awaken their psychic powers, and then you have a fucking psychic army, right? Correct. But everyone else that like failed at that is still like a regular rank and file member.
Correct. You're right. I think like the piece of dialogue was that the Scars are Scar members because they tried to take down their boss, but in doing so, they receive a scar, which that's why they call them the Scars.
Yeah, and it's a really good setup for season 2, too, which is why like I'm glad, even though a lot of times we take a long time to watch subsequent seasons, the boss is the main villain in season 2. So like it's setting up scaling in a really good way, which is like, you know, it's fucking One Punch Man. Like, I just want to see bigger explosions every time, right? Mm-hmm.
And I think from here, we get a whole like group like rendezvous because now like Mob is there. The Reagan is there.
Right.
The Hanazawa is there.
Right. Well, first I just want to mention Dimple's fight real quick because we talked about how Mob was getting fucked up by that girl. We talked about how Hanazawa fought the fire guy. Dimple, in the body of this security guard, is fighting this very specific Esper who has the power to capture other spirits and like put them in little vials, which like are around like his waist, like a fucking bat belt. And he's just like unleashing them, and that's how he fights, right? Which is like the exact kind of like weakness for a spirit like Dimple, right?
Correct.
Because right away this guy's like, "Hey, you're a spirit. I'm going to capture you," which ends up happening. Like he puts him in a jar, and he's just like, "I have thousands of spirits in this jar, and only the most powerful spirit will survive." Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, like. I'm thinking about it too much, but the way he thought about it is like, okay, how long have those spirits been in there, and why does putting Dimple in there initiate the time sequence of that fight? That didn't make sense to me, but it's still cool. We know that Dimples isn't in trouble.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, that's the setup on why like we're scared for Dimple. But at that same time, you talked Reagan. We haven't introduced Reagan into the scene yet. So Reagan is worried about Mob because he knows
he's a kid.
He's like, my apprentice is fucking stupid and also 12 years old. Like, where the fuck is he? He didn't show up for work. And Mob's cell phone is a gift from Reagan, which is cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, cool. Mob's getting something out of this stupid job, and maybe he's not being completely taken advantage of. And he's able to track Mob's location to the lab. Mm-hmm. So Reagan takes a cab out there, and Reagan, because he's so used to acting, he's so full of shit. Like, he just walks straight up to the front door of this Claw organization, and he's just acting in such a way that the rank and file unpowered members think he's the boss of Claw.
Correct. And not only that like Reagan's like the way of thinking is that he doesn't believe that there's any other psychics besides Mob. Because throughout this whole entire season, every time Mob, it's on a situation with other psychic beings, Reagan is not there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you know I'm not Batman when me and Batman have not been in the same, we're never been in the same room.
Right.
Yeah. So that's his way of thinking. He's like, oh, this is stupid. Let me go get my apprentice who's 12 years old. And as he's walking and faking his way through this thing, he's like, oh shit. There really are kids in here locked up being part of... Because
he runs into, like, Ritsu and stuff first. And he's like, hey, you're fucking Mob's brother. Why the fuck are you out here? Mm-hmm. And he's, like, lecturing the club members. He's like, did you guys really capture these children? They're like, oh my god, the boss is mad at us. Yes, sir, we didn't mean to. And he's, like, scolding them. And they're, like, terrified. Like, he's about to, like, psychic blast them to death. And yeah, that's how he's put in this situation. And at that very same moment... like, away from the Ritsu party and Reagan, we get Mob is finally, like, knocked out by some... He's not even named at this point, but he's described as a guest to Section 7 of Claw, so we know it's a big enough organization that this isn't the only like, hideout. And he's like Mob's age. He's like a boy with spiky orange hair, and he's seen as super capable, right? Because he sees that Mob's about to go like 100%, and he just like knocks him out. Mm-hmm. So Hanazawa and Mob wake up in a room with a giant like kanji symbol on the floor that's like turning off their psychic powers, and this is like the first time that like we're not sure how they're gonna get out of this situation because like Mob's left. He's just a regular fucking nerd now.
Yeah. A weak ass fucking nerd. And so at that same moment, the leader of Division 7 goes and like meets Reagan head on because this person who's just drawn in like a gas mask and like this black cloak, and they're seen as being like 4 feet tall, is led to believe that their boss is actually there at this organization. So they come out.
So they come out and come meet up with Reagan, and they're like, dude, you're not the boss.
Yeah.
And that's where the rank and file members figure out that truth too. And now they're scared that they're going to get killed by the Section 7 division leader for betraying the organization. Mm-hmm. So it's just this big clusterfuck of a thing.
Yeah, of a situation, because they also think, like, the leaders at this point, the ones that we have the next couple of fights with, they think they're up against Mob's master. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're scared of him at some point.
Right.
But then they start, there's a whole commotion, they start, fighting, and then this is where Reagan realizes that these people are actually, like, psychic guys that want to take over the world.
Yeah, which is, like, he finally gets it, you know what I mean? Because the only way that, like, Mob and Ritsu get out of that room where they're unpowered is because, like, Reagan, like, pointed them out, like, to the followers and, like, told them to get out of there. But you're right. It's once it's, like, all these espers back in the same place that Reagan's finally like, oh, fuck, like, I might really die right now.
And I love, like, the realness about the whole thing, because he's like, get the fuck out of here. It's like, no, master, like, he's talking to Mom. It's like, no, it's like, I'm the adult, dude. It's like, you gotta get out of here.
Yep.
It's like, it's okay to run away sometimes. Like, you gotta get out of here. You know, it's like...
Because yeah, like, what would the normal anime writing trope there be? It'd be that he overcome any obstacle, no matter how young he is and how overpowered he is, and that's like his coming of age story. But it's like, this is the real world. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, let the adult handle this. Like, Reagan's our age. Reagan's like 27, 28.
And there's like a piece of like flashback where Reagan, the first time he's introduced to Mob, and that's where we go back to when we mentioned the whole anime speech about, like, you know, being a psychic, having psychic powers is part of your character. You have to use it the best way you can. And that's when we see, like, the whole, you know, fucking Anakin and Obi-Wan kind of chemistry.
Right.
And then now I'm eased by the fact that we saw this guy on the spectrum getting advantage of in the first few episodes.
Yeah, because he really does have Mob's best interests in mind. Like, he really came out here to this hidden organization's base because he thought they were fucking with Mob, which, like, they were fucking with Mob. But, like, you know what I mean? He did it for good reasons. Mm-hmm. And what these Section 7 leaders, they start, like, fucking up, like, both Reagan and Ritsu and Hanazawa and everybody. And we see the meter, we see the 100% meter, and we see him about to go full. I think Reagan describes it as, like, murderous intent.
Yes.
The emotion he's feeling here is murderous intent, because a lot of the powers are really cool. We haven't talked about a lot of them, but, like, the 7th division leader, his powers, he makes, like, mini black holes and, like, shoots them around everywhere.
And the gravity of black holes forces you into them, which kills you and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
which is super badass.
And then we see the Sakurai, which is the blade dude. Mm-hmm. He describes his power that his sword used to be a kid's toy that he played with, but then when he found out about his powers, he cursed it enough to make it like a real super blade.
Yeah. Like, you see it just, like, cutting down a whole building, like the anime samurai shit, right?
Correct, yeah. And then another guy that can multiply himself, like, many times. And at this point where Reagan is trying to, like, push the skits out of there and talking to Mob about this, the danger about it, as he's doing that dialogue with him, Sakurai, the sword guy, slashes his back.
Yeah.
Slashes his back, and like you said, this is where we start seeing, like, the increments in the Mob Psycho percentage.
100 meter, yeah.
And it was already at 100, and then
seeing
you just don't know.
Seeing Reagan get slashed, it goes like question mark
mm-hmm.
percent, and you're like, oh fuck, like, he's really gonna go ape shit. But then we get. So that's, like, the end of, like, episode, like, 10. The beginning of, like, episode 11 is Reagan's grabbing on the Mob, and he sees the murderous intent, which is, like, 1,000,000%, fuck 100%. And he's like, no, dude, like, you can't kill people. I will literally not allow you to kill somebody. And, like, it's wild that he's even alive. And that's where we get, like, one of the, like, coolest sequences here, because as Reagan was touching Mob's shoulder while giving him that speech about how he can't abuse his powers and he can't use murderous intent, Mob felt such gratitude and like he felt so like he was looking up to Reagan so much that some of his power like seeped out, and it was so like good feeling psychic emotion that it makes Reagan super powered, like Mob level overpowered for like a whole episode.
Yeah, and it's fantastic because you see like that. You seen like the screens the screen still of like 1,000% or whatever question mark percent of the Mob psycho power, and you get an unclimatic kind of thing because you're like, oh shit, what happened? Because now Reagan is standing up, turning around, and he's like, hey dude, it's like that slash on the back is like I thought you were almost gonna cut me. It's like you were telling the truth about that thing being a toy.
Yeah.
And then the member Sakurai, he's like, what? And he goes for his head, and it just like dunks him in the fucking neck.
Yeah, because it literally would have slashed him, but it's just like, hey man, that feels like plastic on my neck. You're annoying me. Yeah, almost like how Mob is when like somebody's like annoying him with their psychic powers.
But in his stupidity, he still thinks that this whole thing is a joke. So now he's like, oh, he did tell me that was a toy. That thing is a toy. So these fucking powers are not even real. Like, so what's going on? So he almost kind of like has an explanation to everybody's power.
Yeah, so like
that guy that can multiply himself is like, oh, you're using a projector or something like that.
Yeah, that's really good special effects. Where's the projector at? Mm-hmm. Or like the 7th Division leader will be like shooting like the black holes or whatever, and he's just like tossing them away with a finger, and he's just like, hey man, it seems like those are bubbles. Can you just stop it? Yeah. And again, that's like a total like one punch man kind of thing to happen.
And it's awesome because as this is happening, you're still digesting those feelings of like, what the fuck happened to the 100 or the 1,000 Mob Psycho power?
Yeah.
But you're seeing it through until you're like, oh shit, he absorbed this fucking power, because they didn't tell you off the bat. Yeah, that's what happens.
Because at that same in that same time, the Esper, the Scar member that was using like other spirits, like out of his little jar that had 1,000 spirits in it that he put Dimple in, Dimple just busts out and he's just like burping. He's just like, oh, it took me so long to get out of there, but I ate all those other souls.
And he fucks up that one crew member.
Yeah, and he fucks up that one Scar member. And so now we can see that. Because this whole time, when Mob's been around for the past like 5 episodes, Dimple's been right behind him, right? And Reagan could never see him. But now Reagan sees him. He's like, yo, what's up with that little balloon? Why does it have a face?
Yeah, why is it talking and shit? It's like, dude, that's a ghost. He's like, what?
What? Ghosts are real?
Yeah, ghosts are real? What the hell? And I love the fact that when he was using Mob's powers throughout the sequence, beating up everybody, even Mob didn't know at the beginning, but he was like, oh shit, the master is the real deal. And then Hanazawa being so obsessed with Mob, he's like, oh shit, that's Mob's master? It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, like, he's just like, wow, he's a real deal. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, but it's just all bullshit. And it's hilarious. And it's so fun to watch.
And that's like the end of it. It's like, so that like 12-year-old boy with the orange hair, off screen after everyone's left because they've officially defeated the 7th Division and like dissolved it. It's a little boy named Suzuki, and he's the son of the boss of all of Claw. So the ending of like episode 11 is him on the phone with his dad being like, hey, the whole 7th Division's been wiped out. And the dad just being like, what do you mean? You were just supposed to do an inspection. Where the fuck is the 7th Division? He's like, nah, dude, they were fucking whack and they just all got mopped up.
They got all Tataka ninjutsu.
Yeah.
Because even on Reagan's fucking full power by Mob, he talked the crew members to like, quit. He was like, stupid is like, because one of them has a dumbass outfit. Yeah. And he's like, what's with the dumbass outfit and the makeup? It's like, stop. It's like, you're trying too hard. It's like, your psychic powers are not this. You're not this.
You see them? You see those two idiots? We can't touch them. We're never going to overtake the world as we are. And yeah, it's just them snapping each other out of it. Just being like, no, we're done.
And the guy that's making the call, the Suzuki, he's like, yeah, dude, it's like, you boys got talked out of the whole thing. This is not a top tier fucking team. So yeah, he's just talking to the boss, and
So yeah, like the ending of episode 11 is he's like, I'm on my way back to Japan.
yeah, he's not in Japan for some reason.
Yeah, whatever. But so yeah, and episode 12 is literally like nothing. It's just like a tie between just like reaffirming the bond between Mob and Reagan. It's literally called Mob and Reagan as a giant Tsuchinoko appears.
Yeah, and Dimple becomes part of Reagan. He's the assistant now.
Yeah,
kinda.
because now that Reagan has been introduced to Mob's powers, he still has the vision. Like, Dimple's trying to explain to Reagan, he's just like, if you had that much power flowing through you, you should have like a giant amount of psychic ability awaken. And Reagan's just like, no, not really, dude. I can just see ghosts now. He's talking to this little ghost right in front of him. And it's funny because like now he can boss around Dimple. And he's just like, okay, go do this, Dimple.
And also Mob and his brother's relationship also comes to like a closing. Like the argument came to a closing because they see eye to eye now
Yeah.
of what's going on.
So like if Mob's like bending his spoon, now that the brother's got like a little bit of psychic power, he can unbend Mob's spoon.
Yeah.
And just hand it right back. And
How much are spoons?
no, I have no idea, but the mom was really mean about it. She was like, you're gonna buy the spoons with your allowance next time.
I'm sure that it has to be like 20. You can buy a spoon by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go to Family Dollar and buy like a spoon.
Probably,
like a
yeah,
literal
for
singular
$1?
spoon? No, not for $1. I think it's like 2 something.
That's a lot of money on a spoon.
Anyways, so Reagan's still like doing scams, but now that like he knows that ghosts are real, he's like trying to scam less on like actual like ghosts and like exorcisms and stuff. So his stupid ass idea is him and Mob are gonna go up this mountain out in the woods, and they're gonna capture a Tsuchinoko. The only reason I know what a Tsuchinoko is because there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card called a Tsuchinoko, and it's just like this fat chubby snake. And that's like, it's just this Japanese little mythical monster, except it's not scary or anything. It's not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
It's just a fat snake. And so they go up this hill, but Reagan's plan this whole time was just to like get these expensive mushrooms off of the forest floor. And like you think he's gonna sell them. Like you even hear Mob being like, Master, really, are we out here just collecting mushrooms? But a giant fucking spirit pops out.
Correct.
And Mob exercises it in an instant because it's Mob. And then what's left on the ground is like, it looks like a run over snake, but it's a chubby snake. It's a Tsuchinoko. It was the actual Tsuchinoko. And you hear Mob being like, hey, should we go check if that was our snake? And Reagan's just like, nah, fuck it. We got enough mushrooms. Let's go make stew.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the season.
That's the end of the season. You had mentioned that in last episode, if we would have had the time and not as much as rescheduling, we could have easily watched the 2 seasons.
Right.
You know? I feel that right now at an hour and 45 minutes in, that we gave season 1 what it deserved.
Yeah.
Because it is a good season. It is something easy and fun to watch. And it's nice to see, a kid going through what a kid goes through sometimes with psychic powers.
No, I agree. I was being a little facetious, but it's cool. You know what I mean? Like it's really fun. Like you were describing, the first few episodes are just world building, and that's like a writing trope, a writing gimmick in anime at this point. But we spent so long recording because we did so much world building on our end while describing it for the podcast.
For you guys. All for you guys.
So,
yeah.
Watch Mob Psycho 100. 4 days after this episode goes up, you'll have our episode on Hunter x Hunter. We'll have Aldo's girlfriend, Vianney Sosa, back here to discuss season 2, the Heaven's Arena arc, which is probably one of like my favorite arcs of Hunter x Hunter. Because I'll be forthright, like from where I'm sitting right now on June 8th, 2 days ago, Sunday night, like I have all week to watch this season, right? Which is only like 13 episodes. I accidentally sat down in one sitting and watched all of season 2 because like I forgot how Hunter x Hunter is.
It's like One Piece.
Yeah, it's like One Piece. Like you just sit down and you're like, oh, I have a quick minute. I'm just gonna like jump in, jump out. But you end up like spending all this time because it just like sucks you into its world so easily.
Yeah, it's great. And yeah, we'll have that. And then after that, we'll have John.
Yeah, we'll have John Michael Venegas back here to discuss season 2 of ReZero.
I'm excited.
I'm fucking excited.
The hype is still there.
It's still fucking there. And if you notice, we're trying to do subsequent seasons like more quickly back to back. It's just I don't know. It doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes we need to fit in certain easy watches into our schedules.
And suggestions too, and that's what I was going to mention. What other sequence seasons do we have to see? We have to see AOTs.
The AOT for sure. There's a fuck ton of sequels for the Monogatari series.
Yes, we're touching Hunter x Hunter. We also need to do One Piece.
We need to do One Piece again, and like, that's what I mean. Like, if you want us to get back into something specific, let us know on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, at Between Nerds, or email us, betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com.
And use the hashtag. Have we mentioned to use the hashtag?
Yeah, we mentioned it at the beginning, but yeah, please use our June hashtag. Please use hashtag LGBT Nerds in the original tweet or Instagram post, and you will automatically be entered into our June giveaway. And for every like and retweet, we will be donating to the Borderland Rainbow Center.
Yeah. And yeah, man, I loved Mob Psycho. You guys are getting 3 episodes within 7 days, so I love it.
It's great. Y'all better appreciate us by please rating or reviewing on your podcast platform of choice, if able, because I know certain platforms don't let you. And the minimum you should be doing is subscribing and following for podcast upload updates on said platform. This has been Between
Nerds.